The road to hell is indeed paved with good intentions, and we will be discussing this and other issues as we move forward with this week's Listening Post. Welcome, everyone. This is Migdal Values here on May the 2nd, 2020, and we hope that in the spirit of chaos that men out there are taking the right steps to remain firmly fixed in reality and prospering despite all the manifest evil that is being spread throughout the world. Anyway, we'll get into it in just a little bit. Maybe we'll have a little music and start off the show with that today. Here's our friends Leonid and friends playing our theme song, I think, for this year. I just want to be free. Leonid and friends. Man, I don't know how they do it. It just sounds better than the original, really. Well, there's what it's like outdoors. It's pretty wet today where I am. I hope it's lovely where you are. And the main screen here. Welcome, everyone. And, well, some things have happened this week. Some bad news things. I think this is bad news. That what we have happening is the construction of the first Panopticon, that being in Baltimore. They've constructed the Panopticon in Baltimore. And this should be of concern to everyone, as this is the grid. The grid is going up. The grid is going to encompass everyone. And there's going to be 24-hour surveillance. So this is a time to consider what you have to do to MGTOW Ghost Level 4. And this is just not a good thing. So the Panopticon is first set up in Baltimore, then it's going to spread to a city near you, and ultimately I don't think they can do the whole country. That, if you're living in the woods somewhere, in a rural community, maybe you'll be outside of the Panopticon. We're looking at cyberpunk, we're looking at, was it Game of Thrones or something like that? We're looking at a bifurcated reality. And as we see now, as the supply chain dwindles, the only people who are going to have a pork chop or a steak on their plate are those who live on a farm. And so I think we may be seeing, maybe people heading towards the farms and trying to, lead a normal existence, an existence that had been lived for hundreds of years. And somebody wants to change this suddenly and quickly. And these people, many of these people engineering this current chaos, they have agendas, and some of the agendas are, veganism and save the planet and all this sort of stuff, as if the planet needs saving. But they don't like the fact that the buffalo were replaced by cattle, and they just don't like that. Oh well. So they're going to destroy the cattle. They're going to destroy the cattle, and in order to do that, they have to destroy the economy. Okay, and they'll do that, because they're not thinking ahead. These people are goody two-shoes. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, and these people have this good intention, and these people have that good intention, and none of these intentions are ever vetted through men to see what men want, and men just really want to be left alone. And we'll do our little business here, and business there, and if we get desperate, suddenly we go into a system. I don't know what system it is. The system to create mercenaries and foreign wars. The system to force men down into mines that are unsafe. And all of these systems that dispose of men, including the system to give your tithe to the church, and then the government takes it over, and then you have to give your tithe to the government, and then the government wants to control and license everything you do, and then because you need a license for this or that or everything, then suddenly they can control where you can work and when you can go and go out of your house. And I think the most embarrassing thing, the most disgusting thing in some way was Elon Musk, calling for someone to give Americans their rights back. My God, what is this sort of talk and language? To give Americans their rights back? Oh my. What? First of all, nobody gave Americans their rights in the first place. They were there from the Creator. And then to beg to have them given back, or to admonish these people, these governors and the president, they've all lost control. And this sort of thinking, this is the end of America. It's not the end of America, the idea. It's the end of America, the practical experiment. Benjamin Franklin has stopped rolling over and has given up in his grave. He knows the end is nigh. To give Americans back their rights. Oh my. My, oh my. No, Paul Revere didn't have to be given anything. So what we see, I think now, is somebody dropped the ball. I don't think anyone planned this out, but I'll spell it out for you what I think about this whole thing, because there is only one issue now, and this is the issue of the West blowing, not shooting its foot up, just blowing its whole body up bit by bit, and doing so in order to pave that road to hell with good intentions, all the goody two-shoes. Oh, we can't let this COVID virus kill another person, not one more. And of course, they're struggling. They're struggling to even find a young person who died. They are indeed doing that, struggling. But what I'm going to suggest is that no one has died of COVID-19, SARS-2. It is severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS, and yet the line of symptoms is mostly non-respiratory things. There's in fact only one respiratory ailment described, and that is trouble breathing. But as Americans currently, 30, 40, 50% of Americans are diagnosed with asthma. One would expect 1 out of 6 people who have a head cold to have a respiratory illness, a respiratory complication. This is normal. And most of the deaths, 80% are above 75 years old or 70 years old or something like that, way up there, just normal. Anyway, what we have is the destruction of modern medical science, of modern science, and this dates back more than 100 years. They began to destroy modern science. Modern science, in terms of medicine, requires Koch's postulates be demonstrated, which is a cause and effect link between a microorganism and a illness. So you have to follow Koch's postulates. COCH, for anyone who wants to look it up, COCH postulates. And it's extremely reasonable when you read it. You isolate the microorganism, you grow it in a culture and grow a whole bunch of them, and then you give it to organisms and see if they get the same symptoms every time. And if they do, well, you've got a cause and effect. If you can, go into those organisms and re-get that microorganism you sent in. So, it's a nice circle, it's very clear, and this has not been done for COVID-19. We have not applied modern medical science to determine a cause and effect. So who in the hell told Americans that there was a connection between this SARS-2 virus and the COVID-19 illness? Who told Americans and everyone else? Well, just let's think back. Who told that there was deaths associated with COVID? Oh yeah, it was the Chinese. Oh yeah, and then the Iranians picked it up soon after and said, oh no, look, we're dying in large numbers, and it's coming to you, America. Oh yeah, so I guess who made the connection was not modern medical science. It was the enemies of America who told America that there was a connection, and America believed it. This is where the God Emperor lost his touch. He believed China, and then he believed Iran, or people under him did. And maybe people under him did because they were snowflakes, do-gooders, or maybe they were agents of some sort of, other agenda to do this or to do that. And so somebody assumed that there is a cause and effect relationship without showing Koch's postulates. It's like building a bridge and you assume that that piece of wood is strong enough to hold that truck. This is stupidity. And so America believed China. America believed Iran. And they're out of it now. You look at both of them. We got pictures from Red Pill Suppository right on the ground. And, what we're hearing is life is going on as normal. They're not freaking out in China. They stopped counting the numbers because they knew no one's dying. It's just old people die, and they should, because that's the way of the world. And yet America now is freaking out. Their cities are on hold. They're on lockdown. They're establishing the Panopticon. They're destroying the supply chain. There's hunger. There's massive lineups for free food. People are injecting trillions of dollars into the economy, and yet because there's no trust, I think one of the major breakdowns here was trust. Trust was destroyed, and so if you don't have the multiplier effect, the velocity of exchange of money, you can pump 6.7 trillion in, and it's like a dud, and that's what we see, a dud. We see a dud economy. And so what we have now is we have old people who are afraid and who maybe for the first time in their lives feel something. They feel some excitement in being afraid. And they're grooving on it or something. And then we have their children, the snowflakes. And the snowflakes want a virtue signal. And virtue signal, oh, we can't let you die because of this. We have to close the economy. And look, people won't be able to eat as much meat. And that's good too. Is this a type of Is this the type of awareness that the Chinese had and that the Iranians had? Somebody had the idea that, oh, there's a weakness. There's a weakness in the West. And I think MGTOW men know about this weakness. And I think Egi Nagi put it best in a recent video he made, that there are victims. We know we live in a victimhood culture. But I have said, and I want to repeat many times, that men of MGTOW, the MGTOW men, are not victims. Some of them are casualties, to be sure. But they're not victims. They get up, they dust themselves off, and they move on, and they go their own way. Yes, and maybe they have a wound to talk about. But they're not victims. But the West wants to be a victim. You know, you didn't win the race, so you're a victim. So you got a prize, so you're not even a victim. We can't even have any victims. And yet the victimhood is inside the person. It's not something outside. If you want to feel like you're a victim, sure, you can do it. You know, you get the rage out and you release it, and then you're just a casualty. You accept that, okay, you took the wrong path, but you're alive now, and there's forward motion, and there's places to go. But we have an insanity in the West, and that's the victimhood currency that everyone wishes to gather. And as Egi Nagi put it, the mindset is, I am a victim, and so I am just going to abuse whoever is near me until A, I tire out, or B, I feel like I've achieved some kind of self-redemption. So this is what victims want to do. They want to abuse whoever is near them. So I'm a victim, and I want to virtue signal by being a vegan, so I'm going to close down the supply chain. And if I have to do it by destroying the economy, I will. And I think we have a golden line here, and that we see it now. With these good intentions of these goody two-shoes and believing the enemy. They believe the enemy. China and Iran, not that they are the enemy, but they are the strong competitors. And maybe the enemy. And they knew, someone knew, that victims are more dangerous than their abusers. And what they did was they turned the victims of the West back onto the West. They didn't have to destroy the West. They just had to turn the victims of the West back onto the West. And if you men think you're going to survive this, you think you're out of the woods now because this death rate has gone down. Well, the death rate hasn't gone down at all. People are still dying in the same numbers they always would have died at. No, we're not in any way out of the woods. The need now is to redouble efforts at prepping for something that, okay, there's a likelihood that nothing will happen, definitely. That suddenly America wakes up and sees that it's being attacked by itself. That we have the body which attacks maybe too aggressively when it shouldn't. And we have an out-of-whack immune system. But now we may have an out-of-whack community where these people who were victims wish to just attack anyone, because that's how they feel. They just feel like they're victims. And the old people, maybe they feel like they're a victim of time and are being attacked. And so they're all up for any fight against this. They feel like they're part of an army. The war against the COVID-19, why does it have to be a war? Well, that's the way some people like to phrase it. Because then you cannot speak against it. We have heroes, we have martyrs. But people are going to live the lives that they've been trained to live. And the snowflakes, we know, they need to have the participation award. And yes, they are participating in this great battle against an invisible enemy. An enemy that was created and then aimed at America by China and Iran, both deemed to be strong competitors or enemies. Iran's got nothing to lose, do they? They're under sanctions and whatever. They aimed this and said, oh, look, everyone's dying in Iran. It's coming to you next, America. Looking back now, you can see that was funny. It went from China, a little bit in South Korea, and then boom, Iran. Why Iran? Why did it jump over India? Why did it jump over Southeast Asia? Why did it jump over Europe? Just boom. And then picked up. Oh, people have to believe now. They have to believe the narrative. Well, I don't believe narratives. I like to rely on modern science. I want to see Koch's postulates in this and in every other microorganism caused illness. I'm a defender of modern science. I find it to be the closest we can get to knowledge in this world is modern science. The finding of an experiment, repeated, verified, falsifiable. And then I'll go with it. I'll use that as a guide on my going my own way to remain sane, to remain free, and to remain self-preserved. I know that I'm not going to live forever, and that's a good thing. But why die prematurely? So I will use the findings of modern science. And this is, now we are seeing the destruction of modern science. And I think the strategy, I don't think it began with this plan. I don't think they knew what was going to happen. But the word is now, many people in the States are saying it was engineered. Okay, we went through that months ago. We saw the documents. Peng Zhu, Dr. Batman, and they published these papers, and back coronavirus mixed with HIV. They were publishing stuff like this. So when one comes out and people say, "Hey, it looks like that," and then we get this reaction. No, they're hybridizing these microviruses for so long. Anyway, let me get back here and see what's going on. Is Kim Jong dead? Hey, welcome everyone. Aaron Rubin, MGTOW Smurf, welcome. Whoosh Whoosh. Forrest J. Burns. Warrior, thanks for dropping in. Nice to see you. Hope you're doing well in this crazy time. And, I don't know. The lockdown, is it everywhere? Is it where you are? This is not good. It's coming into where I am, but it's still ways away. It's still normal here. I think of where I'm living now as an enclave of sanity. And, yeah, no, that's right, MGTOW Smurf. Yeah, hospitals get government money, more government money, if the COVID patient is dead, right? If they got a dead patient and it's COVID, yeah, they get $13,000 apparently. All the doctor has to do is sign the death certificate. COVID, they get $13,000. And, at the end of the year, of course, the doctor has to have a bonus because he's working so hard. So, you know where the bread is buttered, which side the bread is buttered on, that. So you're going to sign it. After all, you got your alimony payments to make, and you've been fucked by the system. So how many men just don't give a shit anymore? And so this is it. We're in a system. The system is out of control. Maybe the people in the system, the men in the system, want to do the right thing, but nobody's demonstrated Koch's postulates. You're a doctor. So what? They say it is. They got sort of the symptoms. Okay, COVID-19. I get $2,000. That's quite a few nights at the Holiday Inn in Miami. So fuck you all. I'm gone. I need a holiday this year. So yeah, eat plants. Yeah. Animals eat plants. I eat animals. I am saving the planet. Nice one. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. Save the plants. Eat animals. What goes around comes around. I think these microorganisms that kill and eat humans, I don't think they care. I don't think they care at all. So, yeah. Yeah. There we go. So, we're into, I don't know, this is, the third month of insanity. And I think they're trying to drive us crazy. They're trying to make us believe in witch doctrine. They've abandoned modern medical science. They're believing the Chinese and the Iranians on this connection. The only people who die are old people, and that's both sad and proper. And Problem, reaction, solution. Well, you see, somebody's going to pick it up like that. Whoosh, whoosh. Somebody's going to pick it up that what they want is the Panopticon. How are they going to get it? Well, they're going to get it through a medical tyranny. And James Corbett, if you don't know him, of the Corbett Report, he was discussing this way back in 2011. He saw that. Not only him, but others. But he gave it a good form, and he's back up again talking about this. He saw it coming, and now we see it. We see the Panopticon, which is optic. You can see pan everywhere. So you can see everywhere in Baltimore. They got drones or something flying up in the sky with a camera. They can zoom in everywhere, and that's just it. So it's the road to socialism. This is the road to serfdom. You know, I read a recent interesting article published via Zero Hedge by some guy, I forget his name, can't pronounce it anyway, from the Mises Institute. And, you know, he was looking at the rule by experts. I think that's dangerous, because the experts, you know, they're maybe expert in a small little field, but they don't see the big picture. You know, they may say, okay, we can slow down maybe the growth of some virus, but they don't realize that if you destroy the supply chain, people aren't going to have their hamburgers. And when they don't get their hamburgers, they're going to get sick and die. And that's what we're seeing now. Stone Reaper, what in the hell are you saying? There's nothing new about the old and sick dying when they get sick? Oh my God, that's craziness. Oh no, sorry, that's normal. Oh God, I just get so confused. Yeah, when you get old, okay, you know, you get sick and you die. There's nothing new about that. And that's what we're seeing now. What we're not seeing, and what I've never seen, is the normal amount of people who die, say in the United States or in Canada or UK or wherever, the normal number of people who die every month, you know, they get old, accidents or whatever, versus what's now. And, you know, just on a ready-to-hand calculation, about 330,000 Americans die every month. You know, they get old, and that's it. And that's it. So, what we need to do is then determine how many more people are dying because of, and let's put the probable cause of some pandemic. So it should be 330 plus, but you never see that plus. The normal number of people dying every month plus what have died from COVID-19. We never see that. Why? Because there is no plus. There's no fucking plus. The normal number of people are dying because the normal number of people are dying. And, you know, if there was a lot more, if there was depopulation happening, people would be talking about that. You know, there's a goodly amount of data collection, even in real time, to give an idea that, holy shit. And it's not that bodies are going unclaimed because there's a lockdown and nobody can drive from state to state to pick up the dead bodies, so there's bodies piling up in morgues here and there. There's, you know, that's not it. It's not bodies piling up in morgues, it's bodies dying. That's the indicator. And so because they can't show that number rising, they just don't talk about it. And the silence on this issue is now deafening. And yes, Aaron Rubin, I heard 6.7 trillion has just been injected over the last few months, 3 months or something. You know, it's just nuts. Whatever it is, it's just nuts. Fake money, fake debt. There's, you know, this is going to be hyperinflation. When people have money, because they're sitting at home, they're getting this helicopter money, they want to go out and buy a hamburger, but there ain't no beef. Like, where's the beef? Where's the beef? There's no. And what's going to happen is that there's going to be inflation. And then that will lead to, eventually, hyperinflation. When people have money and cannot buy things, then you have the push towards hyperinflation. And again, this is a road to tyranny. This is a road to the destruction of savings. And so get your portfolio in order. You've got to have a diversified holding, a diversified portfolio. You need hard assets, maybe some precious metals, maybe some stocks. Maybe they will hold the value. It's hard to tell. Bonds, probably not, unless it's a flexible interest rate. Oh, that's interesting, Smurf. I hadn't clued in on what inflation is going to move at. 6%'s pretty high for recent times in the West. That's very high. There has been a movement towards deflation in many countries of the West, and deflation is almost as nasty as high inflation. So, Soylent Green is humans! Yeah, no, this is what they're going to be feeding us, eh? You'll be eating Grandma and Grandpa in the Soylent Green hamburger stand. Yeah. My God. Yeah, Soylent Green. Oh, my God. Well, you know, what those, you know, family planner people, you know, Planned Parenthood, you know, selling the body parts, putting it in Pepsi or something. Jesus. Car's price will go up during the test drive. Yeah. No, we're into insanity. Anyway, yeah, Forrest Burns, you're talking about Corbett's medical martial law episodes. Yeah, cannot be missed. That's what I say. Very, very on point. He's a very smart man. And that's what we're into. We see it now. We were given the warning. I put some probability to it, but I figured modern science would disallow such, you know, overreaction, complete overreaction. But it hasn't. People are just, they want to do this. They want to do it. They want to feel like they're victims, and they want to participate in a war, in a battle, in an epic battle. And I'm hearing this word biblical. This is going to be biblical, and that's going to be biblical, and it's biblical this, and, you know, meaning that it's epic and massive and huge and worthy to be written about in a text that's passed down, you know, through the dark ages on papyrus and God only knows what else. So yes. So now we have the destruction, and as the supply chain dwindles from China and certain goods, or from America and certain goods. You know, I think it's funny that the Chinese have recently just sent in 3 massive planes filled with face masks to Germany. Like, what is this? What is this? This is like China feeding this fake, you know, this fake pandemic. Who is it that made the connection? It was China. Who believed it? Everyone else. And then Iran came in and confirmed it. So this is a China-Iran confirmed pandemic. Modern science has not demonstrated the connection with Koch's postulates. No doctor cares because he's getting paid $13,000 for his hospital on signing it, and he gets a big fat bonus at the end of the year. This is the system. This is, you know, partially, you know, the gynocentric system, because everyone's looking for complete safety. All the snowflake victimhood currency seeking snowflakes, do-gooders, you know, they want to feel good about it. So this is all the gynocentric bullshit that has infested their thinking, that you can, in fact, save the world. You can't save the world because the world doesn't need to be saved. The world is fine. Look at it. It rains, it snows, it's sunny, it's windy. This is beautiful. You can't stop the world from operating the way it's going to operate. So just relax. Plant the plants and they'll grow. Put a lot away in case there's some screw up like a giant volcano exploding or something. But other than that, you know, the world goes on. But they're not happy with that. They want to destroy what men build. And there's so many men now engaged in this gynocentric system, which has been hijacked by the globalist system. And now it's merging into this sickness, a massive sickness. And at the end of it, what we'll get is Soylent Green is humans. Yeah, well, I don't know. China, if you owe China money, they come for it. Don't they own like part of Chicago? China bought up the right to collect parking meter fees in Chicago or something. Holy shit. My oh my. Bit by bit, they're buying up the world. You know? Meanwhile, the Chinese slaves, they get paid $1 a day, and that hasn't gone up in 20 years. The thinking was it was going to go up, right? It was just going to go up and normalize, and they'd have a thriving domestic economy, domestic consumption. But nah, screw that. Screw it. So, we'll put up here the 0 deaths. So this is from the CDC. 0 case fatalities for 20% of the ages of humans from 0 to 19 years old. There have been 0 deaths. That means no one has died, because viruses cannot choose on age. They look at that cell, they get in the cell, they make the cell produce more of itself, and that's it. It takes over the body. A baby can have a pretty good immune system. A 20-year-old can have a really lousy immune system. That's not the determinant. There's going to be some deaths everywhere. Goodly and near the same amount of deaths, all up and down. A little bit more here, a little bit less there, but people are going to die. But here we don't. This is just the case fatality numbers are exactly what you would see with a sickness previous to COVID-19. You take out accidents, you take out suicides and murders and stuff. This is just exactly what you'd see from illness. That's it. Once you get over, just a couple of weeks old, your chance of living is really high. Thank you, Alexander Fleming, for putting that sandwich in that drawer while you were doing the experiment. But that wasn't it. It wasn't the putting of the sandwich in the drawer, which later, made the mold and killed the bacteria in the petri dish. It was, why did they die? So he had the question to look at, and that is the modern scientific method, is that question. It's that questioning that led him to say, well, something did. What was it in the drawer? And he found the mold on the bread. Then he found amoxicillin. Then he single-handedly changed the death rate. And it's this approach. It's the modern scientific approach, which is just so great. And yeah. Wow, look at that. Yes, I had some technical issues the last couple of weeks. Thank you, everyone, for dealing with me through that. And of course, the last couple of weeks, I'd forgotten what day of the week it was. This week, I was more careful and tried to pay attention to what the hell was going on. It didn't help because it's just insane everywhere you look now. It's insane. And you read the news, and it's looking a bit problematic for America and thus for the world. If America falls into more distrust, more mistrust, more violence in terms of the government attempting to close down the economy and people wanting to work because they have to work because they want to work because that's what they do. And the government says, no, you're not going to work because, I have a victimhood mentality and I want to protect the whole world from itself. Then eventually people are going to pull out guns and The Army, I think, is not secure one way or the other, and various sheriffs are on either side of the fence, and the do-gooders are locked in the cities mostly. And you just wonder why New York City has such a high rate, because they just want to do it. You go into these cities, they're cities that are promoting a victimhood mentality, and thus, they're there to ensure that people, get the COVID designation, the hospitals get the free money, and that's it. Yeah. So we're in a systemic breakdown where the system itself is attacking. So again, encourage all men. Encourage all men. Now is the time to prep, to double down on the prepping, to ensure that you've got a backup here, a backup there, and be aware that things are changing very quickly. They're putting the drones up in the sky to create Panopticons. Just be cool. Just be cool. We don't know how this is going to play out. At some point, they're going to want to, jab you with a needle, and you're going to have to decide what your values are, and then you're going to decide what to do. And well, this is the world they want. They're going to want to. It's Borg, right? If you haven't watched Star Trek, they're creating Borg, and this is the path forward. So if you can make it out, live your life without becoming a Borg, okay, good. But it's Borg devoid of modern science, so it's not sustainable, right? You understand that, right? It's just an emotional push. There's not, the foundation is weak. It's watery. It's liquid sand. And so they're building a foundation of Borg upon something that's ultimately unsustainable. You cannot sustain this type of systems without modern science. So that's it. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Stone Reaper. Write this. Right. This is right on here. Get while you can, good men. That's it, right there. Get what you can, while you can, good men. That should be the title of this particular broadcast, right there. And get out and tell the young men to do so. Right now, I don't see good things happening. I try to evaluate how serious the matter is. The matter is serious. There's been a hijacking and destruction of modern science. This began in the mid-1800s. It doesn't matter. There's been a push towards a gynocentric system. This also began slightly earlier in the 1800s with the Seneca Falls. And now we're into a state where victimhood and participation prizes are the name of the game. And this is Idiocracy, that movie. You think it was, hundreds or thousands of years in the future. It wasn't. It was in our lifetimes. Yeah. I don't know, Bad Max. There's I don't know what anyone's saying. I don't know. Why this for? Nobody's dying of it. First of all, nobody's dying of it. The only people who are dying are old people who were going to die anyway because they have pre-existing conditions. There's been no Koch postulates linking a cause and effect between this microorganism and any illness, any set of symptoms. So I don't know what a case means anymore. I know what a case of chicken pox means. I know what that means. We all know, I think, what it means. But I don't know what this means. A case of COVID-19. Is it what, diarrhea, fever, coughing? You can't taste stuff? My God, the list of symptoms from the CDC and the WHO, it's what, 12, 13 symptoms? Only one of which is a respiratory problem. Any reference to opaque, glassy lung or wet lung is just gone. Nobody's even talking about that. So for a severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS, there's a conspicuous lack of any respiratory descriptions of it. It's everything but. It's any illness you want. So, you know, that New Brunswick now has no new cases. Well, who knows? Whatever. Yeah. Let's bring the Tic Tac people in to take over. MGTOW Smurf, we can look at, ultimately, we're in a state of metaphysical chaos at present, and our epistemological destruction, is basically complete. We don't want to talk about the Tic Tac. The Pentagon keeps on releasing that, the videos are real, We've got texts going back. We've got eyewitnesses who are both whistleblowers and then non-whistleblowers and then just regular people going back 6,000 years. And, we're into metaphysical chaos. We can't decide on where we are at this point. And if you try to bring up modern science, people try to close you down. And so we want feelings. We don't want science. And if you demand science, then they say you're nuts, that they want to believe. I had some fucking mathematician talk about faith. You have to have faith. What? Shut the fuck up with this faith stuff. And, if you have a conditional definition, okay, then it's a conditional definition. If this is true, then that is true. Okay. If yesterday is today, then what else is true? You can do anything like that. If the moon is made of cheese, you can say that. And cats like cheese, then cats like the moon. There we have a perfectly valid argument. It's pretty well unsound, but it's a valid argument. And so, but no, he said, not conditional, but just faith. So he wants this, victimhood thing. You have to have faith. You're a victim, and so have faith that everything will turn out good. And here's a participation award. And so he was giving participation awards. And, he's a very explanatory guy, but he had some problems. Yeah. Yeah, MGTOW Smurf. Apparently, the number who have seen just something which is fantastically unexplainable is fairly high. And, previous to the internet, it was sort of pushed down, but a lot of people have seen things. And we don't know about the Tic Tac or the gimbal or the black triangle. And we don't know what connection these entities have, whether they're forces or sentient, whatever it is, whether they're a reflection or independent. Whatever it is that these things are. What's the connection to this current construction of a Panopticon? I don't know. Yeah. Oh, whoosh whoosh. I know. Isn't that something? You might want to just shut up. If you're the father, right? You just shut up. I don't know. Yeah, you can sweep a lot of things under the carpet, and if no one's going to check, no one's going to check, and that's where we are. No one's going to check. You die, they put COVID-19 on the death certificate. No one's going to check. Whatever it is. Funny, the murder rate's going down. Jeez, what did I just say? I have no evidence on that. That was a joke or something. My God. Just thinking of what they can do. Apparently, that guy who thought that chloroquine was what you put in fish tanks, apparently they're investigating the wife now for murder. So maybe what I said had some basis in truth after all. So it's like, you sweep anything under the carpet. Sweep anything under the carpet now, because it's a free-for-all. It's a nutso free-for-all. And, rain's falling outside of my house, too. And it's somewhat falling inside. It's falling inside my house. But outside, too. Outside. And but the house was designed to be that way. My oh my. Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be, I don't know what's eating what, Bad Max, but, this whole thing, what's going on? We're in idiocracy. Run to the hills. And that song is just echoing. It just echoes. And in fact, that is part of prepping. If you don't have a backup location where people sort of know who you are and you've created some sort of network, then go do it. Go do it now. Yeah, maybe some Wookiee. Yeah. She killed her husband and tried to blame it on Trump. My God. The nerve of some people. Yeah. No, you had it right. Should have put a bet on that one. Had you put a bet on, you maybe would have made some money with some friggin' snowflake leftists. Freaky victimhood people. So, it's, anyway, this is the story. I can't seem to, you were hearing, news on the major front for MGTOW of the disposability of men due to women in the gynocentric system. I think the gynocentric system is joined up with whatever predatory system is, engaging in the destruction of the economy of the West. I think it turned the gynocentric victimhood type people against the whole economy. Somebody realized in Iran or China, I'm thinking Iran, that this would work. They did it, and it worked. And we're seeing the West, dynamite parts of its body away. Just boom, gone, boom, gone. And Iran's just sitting back watching its relative power grow day by day. The weaker America and the West gets, the stronger Iran gets just by doing nothing. Maybe it's going down a bit, but it's not going down. It doesn't have as far to go. It was being beaten up pretty bad, and now the people beating them up are beating themselves up. Yeah, that Trump sure does a lot of evil things, but he missed this one. He missed this one big time. Why are his advisors not comparing, total death rates to new death rates from COVID-19 and then shut the whole fucking thing down? Nobody extra has died. Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, you need to have rain. Aaron, get some rain. Hey, it's Eggy Nuggy. Hey, you missed it, Eggy Nuggy. You were quoted, heavily quoted. You're a big part of this whole broadcast. Right here. I had something set up, and then I watched your wonderful video, and there were some gems in there. I'll read it to you. And we're talking about how China and Iran were able to, weaponize the idea, because it was China first who made the connection between the SARS-2 virus and this so-called COVID-19 illness. So it's not modern science, it's the Chinese. And then the Iranians picked it up, and they got everyone all afraid. And this worked, because the snowflakes, they just want a virtue signal. And the old people, they're feeling like they're victims of time and are going to die. And they want to engage in this final epic battle. And they're feeling alive for the first time, maybe ever. They're feeling alive in their fear and their victimhood. And as you said in that video so well, that people today, as we know this in the West generally, are feeling like they're victims, and their mindset is, I am a victim, and so I am just going to abuse whoever is near me until A, I tire out, or B, I feel like I achieve some kind of self-redemption. And that's it. And what we have are these snowflakes. What we have are these people trying to prevent, old people from dying when you can't. You can't do it. And They're, they're trying to stop the wind or something like this. This is insanity. And thus the golden line, I think, of that video was that victims are more dangerous than their abusers. And what we see are these people who think that they're victims, the snowflakes, a lot of these women and their simp men handlers. They want to highlight their victimhood. They want to gain that victimhood currency, and now they're spending it. They're spending it by locking people in their homes, by creating a Panopticon first in Baltimore and then God knows where, by destroying the supply chain so that people can't eat meat and they'll be on the streets, begging for a little of this. And then Elon Musk, however great the man is, coming from South Africa to America, now he's speaking for Americans. Well, shut the fuck up. Americans don't have to beg to get their freedom. Give Americans their freedom back. Fuck off. He doesn't understand Americans, I don't think. Americans don't have to ask anyone for their freedom. But at this point, nobody seems to want it. Nobody seems to want the freedom. A few people in Michigan, maybe. That's it. Americans have left the building. Can we say that? Horrible. Americans have left the building, and those who are remaining are victims. And yes, no, Eggy Nagi, you said it very well. And please go check out Eggy Nagi's video on this topic. But in MGTOW, we're not victims, I don't believe. No one here is a victim. A casualty, yes. A lot of men have been beaten hard and hurt bad. And it's time to release any pent-up feelings. No, you can't keep the rage inside. You release it. And then you can begin to think clearly and straightly and live your life that, yeah, okay, I lost something. But you didn't lose the chance to experience reality. And I think that's the greatest gift, even for a day. And I'm thinking, I don't know what's going to happen. We had that Atlas comet. You're thinking this whole thing's a misdirection, a distraction for some celestial event which is going to damage Earth and end life or something. And that they're shuffling people down into the dumps, and they don't want people to count people, so they're saying all these people are disappearing, and maybe they're being shifted down to the dumps, or maybe sent off into some other place on a spaceship. My God, you don't know what Neil Young knew when he wrote the song After the Gold Rush. But now that comet is gone. Comet Atlas is gone, only to be replaced. Yes, indeed, man. It's been replaced by another comet that just recently appeared as well. So Comet Atlas just recently appeared, and so did Comet Swan. And I find coincidences in the same system to be undesirable. If you have a coincidence between two different systems, that's fine. But here we have two comets just basically simultaneously and recently discovered, both heading very near Earth and both being unusually bright. And so if you check out Oppenheimer Ranch and maybe some other celestial sites and weather sites, space weather sites, then you can get some information on Comet Swan. It apparently last 2 nights, it's been visible to the naked eye, although not in the northern hemisphere. I was going to look for it where I am very early in the morning, but I slept. And it was cloudy and rainy anyway. So, oh, that's great. No. Yes. Yeah, you're going to die, but probably not right away. But you never know. There's some probability that, if you watch those disaster movies, I remember the one Deep Impact, right? And, they wanted to do misdirection. The plan was that you wanted to keep things running, all the electrical systems and all the food systems, and let people live. And so they wouldn't release that this thing was coming to Earth and going to destroy everything until the very last moment. And maybe that's what they're doing. and that this is they're protesting the COVID-19 when they should be looking up in the sky and seeing this bright light come towards them. Hey, it's getting bigger. Hey, it's getting bigger. Well, they're not fucking worried about that. Everything's chaotic, and so yeah, I like deep impact for. This is how I would do it. If I were in government, sure. Predictive programming, maybe, but misdirection. Hey, look over here. Look over here. Oh, don't look over there. No, look over here. Until finally it breaks. Yeah. So, anyway, check out the flick, and I think the one scene. Well, there are many scenes in the movie, but one scene that struck me is I don't give a shit. If the Tic Tac that has put the comet up, and the comet's really an electrical object, which has the Tic Tac is the Anunnaki, right? It's the same thing. And they don't want monoatomic gold. They want something bigger. You don't have this type of investment for a handful of gold. Yeah. Oil is being stored on the water. Yeah, oil is being stored on the water, in the tankers. Right? They got lines of tankers. Nobody's willing to offload it, and the contracts come due, I guess, on the 19th of the month. So there's going to be negative oil prices, maybe, unless the economy really drives up. And we got some video of China in the city of Guangdong, in Guangzhou region of China, and there was some traffic there, but it wasn't the amount that you'd expect in a city like that. So oil demand in China's way down, and America's way down. So yeah, and so the contracts, the futures forward contracts, come due, I guess, on the 19th. That's why we saw negative $38 a barrel oil. It's popped back in the middle of the month, but when these contracts come due again, we're going to see bloodletting. Yeah, no, there's not enough gold. Whoosh whoosh. There's not enough gold. We're talking, the Tic Tac can do 400 G. Apparently, that's very fast, right? What the Falcon or the F-18 or something can do 14, and the Tic Tac was doing 400 G. So that is that's a whole different ball game here. So yeah, Enlil versus Enki. Yeah, that's right. We may be seeing that, but that battle between the Titans is this is this is mirrored in battles in Osiris and his brother, wasn't it? And then some of the Titans, and then there was the war between the Titans and the Olympians. So we see that the Archons, as the Gnostics would title all of these, are not a monolith. The Tic Tac maybe are cooperative but not friendly with the gimbal, and so on and so on. Don't know. The Black Triangle seems, as I've said before, to be the main entity, and everyone's afraid of it. Everyone. But yeah, Bad Max. Well, that seems to be a node on the dumb, if the dumb exists, and why should it be heating up if they're running a heat map? That would be interesting. So we don't know. Maybe it's time that the Nephilim or the Anunnaki or the Archons or whatever name you want to put to whoever drives the Tic Tac or gimbal or any of the other thousands of sightings of these things over the last 6,000 years. Whatever it is, keep your eye open for the comet Swan. And it's in the constellation of Cetus. And Cetus is slightly below the horizon in the northern hemisphere, so I don't know what you're going to do. If I manage to catch a sighting of it, I'll let you know. But if you're nearer the equator, you can see it. If you're south of the equator, you can see it. So as I'm in the equatorial zone, I can hopefully see it and let you know. But we're looking at the size of Earth, and it's a massively large place. There's no global catastrophe coming in terms of environmental problems. The planet has been hotter, apparently, and colder, apparently, and humans have a very mild effect on it. Carbon dioxide is plant food. The best amount in the environment for plants is 1,000 parts per million. And we're at just rising up to 400. At 500 parts per million, CO2 has no longer any warming effects. So it's not linear relationship between CO2 and warming. So we're, the planet's fine that way. So whatever it is that somebody wants of humans, it's not a little bit of gold. Because if they can make this, if they can take care of this, then they don't need a little bit of gold. They need something big, whatever it is. I mean, huge. The fallen angels. Well, maybe so. Let's see whether they uncloak these angels, these archons. 1 million people on Mars? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think the Archons want any humans on Mars. Why the hell would they want that? As to a breakaway civilization, you want to read the writings of Richard Dolan. I believe it's Dolan. I get it confused with Nolan. I think it's Dolan. Richard Dolan is incredibly well-spoken and knowledgeable on this topic. And whether, the technology that we see in the skies was, due to reverse engineering or whether it's actual, hard to tell at this point. But a lot of people have seen a lot of shit. And, but now we're into something else. We're into a massive misdirection. We're into a massive destruction of our way of life, as it were, from the West and then all around the world. This civilization that we're in has had a long run. And I have a map up on the screen. I don't know whether it's this set or the other one that traces the capital of the empire. And so you look at your watch. You look at that circle on that watch, and you see the hands go around. Well, that began in Mesopotamia, apparently 6,000 years ago. And that way of mathematizing reality has given such great power. And so, this computer could not happen without that type of mathematizing. And so on and so on. And so you look at your room, wherever you are, and I don't care whether you're in China or India, Sub-Saharan Africa, you look at anything of any importance in that room, and it comes from this civilization. And the capitals have moved from Eridu through Thebes, Susa, Athens, Rome, to Baghdad, Samarkand, then into Europe with Budapest, Prague, Madrid, Paris, London, and then the capital is now in Washington, and we can see Washington being attacked. Washington is under attack. It's under attack from itself. It has the sickness. Nothing fails like success. And the snowflakes and the do-gooders and the victimhoods, they all want to, make the world a better place by pulling out guns and telling other people that they can't do what they've done for millennia. And this type of arrogance, this type of violence, this type of denial of modern science, this refusal to abide by the systems that gave us such great power, starting with Francis Bacon and René Descartes back in the 1500s, late 1500s, 1600s. Modern science gelled, and from there we've been able to better control the world, the practical things of the world, and get great power. And this great power is a double-edged sword. At the same time that we can, get telescopes and try to understand the lights in the sky and look at microscopes and see the very small, we also have the ability to, create systems that can, horrify the planet with massive amounts of DDT, which eventually accumulate in life forms. In small amounts, it's fine. But then we have do-gooders that say that any DDT is bad, and suddenly the death due to malaria in some countries goes way up until somebody says, well, no, just don't spray it on crops all the time, but spray it once in a while to get rid of malarial insects. Oh, okay. There we go. So there we have what should have been the correct response, as opposed to a non-scientific, a non-measured response. And so this is what's happening now. We have a non-scientific, non-measured response. It's an emotive response. We are into an age of emotivism. And I'd read about people talking about that. I said, no, it's not freaking possible. Are we talking about a postmodern era? Well, this is unsustainable. You cannot sustain modern systems in a postmodern mindset, an emotivist mindset, or whatever they want. And so this is the danger. We are in a time of great danger because there's an edifice constructed on the basis of modern science. And if you just remove the requirement to apply modern science to hold this edifice up, and you say, I'll do it on my fee-fees, I'll do it on my emotions, then it's going to crumble. And that's what we see now. We see it crumbling. And no amount of modern science is going to, get the meat packers back to packing meat so people can go to the store and have a hamburger. This is nuts. And why? Apparently, I don't know how many people work, it's thousands of people. A 61-year-old died. A 61-year-old meat packer died. Somebody said it was COVID-19, so they closed the factory. The government came in and closed the factory. The union said, oh yeah, we have to close the factory. So they agreed. These people are idiots. A 61-year-old, and we have no information, again, on anything I've read, about what this guy's health was. Was he in great health? He's 61. What's the chance of a 61-year-old dying tomorrow? Well, pretty fucking good. Sorry. It's pretty good. If you're 61, or you should know. And because you're not going to make it to 130, right? And most people don't make it to 100. And most people don't make it to 90. And most people, don't make it to 85. And most people don't make it to, 76. There we are. So, at 61, yeah, chances are pretty good. A lot of people have to die between the ages of 60 and 75. A lot of people. Are you one of them? Yeah. How's your health? It doesn't really matter because something can happen suddenly. The body is a system. Something breaks. Boom. Somebody could die in the middle of a broadcast. Maybe I'll have another drink of coffee. But I think the word should go out. And I'm impressing upon everyone that, as Stone Reaper said, the time is right now to get what you can get, good men. And to be very confident that at the very last moment, when you're standing at the beach and you see that wave, you do not shirk. You do not deny the reality that death is just coming your way and there's no way to avoid it. And that is the way of life. And that people who are cowering in their homes because of a fear of something that has not been demonstrated by modern science, but merely demonstrated by the competitors of the West, and the beaten down competitor of Iran, enemy, declared an enemy. That these people have made the connection between this virus and this illness, and everyone has to believe it. And now we have flybys by the military, and we have, martyrs of, emergency room doctors killing themselves, so we cannot deny that the COVID-19 illness is real, because they're setting up all these heroes of fighting an illness that does not create a sickness, of an illness that only occurs in your heart and not in reality, an emotivist illness, not one demonstrated by modern science. This is the world we're in, and this is a dangerous world, and it's a rapid decline. Rapid. Yep, you better start living. Live now. And it's nice to be with you, men. Trying to remain sane in all of this. I think, personally, I've gotten over some sort of hump on the insanity. Whatever I read now, I just say, yeah. We got the victims. These victims are going to do whatever they can to make themselves feel better, for one thing. And they're going to lash out to make themselves, self-redemption. I sort of looked at this problem from a different aspect, maybe similar aspect. I thought that a lot of people in the West were living as if in a prison. And in a prison, you have to do what the police say. You have to pay the taxes. You have to, bow down, whatever, like prisoners have to do. And the only way you can have any sense of personal power is to rat out your fellow prisoners and get in good with the warden. And so, this is what we're having. We're having snitches. People are snitching on their neighbors. For doing what? For doing things that are perfectly normal. Because you believe that there's a connection. Yeah. Well, the grandkids, yeah, sure. This is it. What does idiocracy look like for the grandkids? Because it won't be a modern system. Because emotivists can't run a modern system. As we see now, a modern system requires, before an illness is connected to a microorganism, you have to demonstrate Koch's postulates. But they haven't. Yeah. So, I'm worried for the grandkids. Or maybe not. Maybe they'll be back to plowing fields with oxen. Amish, The future is Amish. Maybe there's a title for an upcoming video. The future is Amish. And okay. I'm writing that down right now. The future is Amish. Welcome to Idiocracy. And again, the modern science approach, doesn't apply to everything. Doesn't apply to poetry. Doesn't apply to, a Saturday afternoon at the park. But it definitely applies to systems of distribution of the necessities of life. And yeah, for God's sakes, get that camper van. Get the camper van going. And, find some little gully somewhere and park it. A key to the channel. Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, well, it happened then. MGTOW Smurf, you now got a key to the channel. Because you never know what's going to happen. You never know who's going to come in, cause trouble. This is it. Yes, Reverend Jim Jones and the Kool-Aid drinkers since 2008. Excellent. Good. Farm, food, farm, boom, boom. There you go. And thank you, MGTOW Smurf, and thanks for everyone for coming in and keeping the discussion moving and keeping all of us sane. I hope we're all keeping sane because they're trying to drive us nuts. They're trying to drive us nuts, and I think Reverend Jim Jones and the Kool-Aid drinkers and myself and other people at some point knew that they were going to do something like this. And I bought a farm. I got a farm. It's not especially productive, but it's right here. It can be as productive as I need it to be, and that's it. Food farm, boom, boom. And the boom, boom part is a little bit different where I am, but I'm hoping it's going to be fine. Because there's a lot of farms where I am, and that's about it. No rushing, no rushing. I normally have to clear things with Warrior. Yeah, see? No, we got to take things steady here. Always steady. And what happens on some channels is not good. So, and it's been a while, really, MGTOW Warrior. People don't come in here and cause trouble. We don't have a lot of trolls. We don't have a lot of other people coming in. Oh, yes, we got the rhodium increase happening, if you hadn't noticed. And it was stuck there at an increase of 177.79% for the month, and then it just jumped up to an increase of 181%, I believe, today. So it seems to be still moving up, but rhodium, if you hadn't noticed, anyone, I certainly did not, but rhodium increased massively while every other commodity really almost was decreasing. So why? Why is rhodium going up? This is an important, I think, it's an outlier. And so why is this outline thing rising? It's used in catalytic converters for cars, but who the hell's buying cars? So there's no pent-up demand for catalytic converters now going forward in the short term anyway. So why do we have a short-term increase so extreme? I don't know. The only other real use for rhodium that I could find was as it's like a barrier against a neutron flux. And so this neutron flux has, what in the hell is it? You can read about it and try to tell me what in the hell, why somebody would be wanting to buy rhodium, increase the price so much in order to manage neutron flux. Your guess is as good as mine. Something else, don't know. Yeah. Warrior has the platinum wrench wherever he goes. This channel is first and last about men, and that's it. We're gonna have no friggin' simping here, no white knighting here. We've had it with the victimhood. We've had it. We don't have victims here. No men victims. You can be angry. Yes, you can be angry because look at the shit that was done to everyone. And you can be a casualty, and you'll get an ear, and you'll get a hand up, and maybe a push, and maybe once in a while. But there's no victims here. There's no simps. And there's men out there talking that things have changed, that women are now recognizing their weakened position, and that they're going to be coming up to men, and they're going to be contrite and wishing to be less entitled and bitchy. But now this is the perfect time to lure men back onto the plantation. Do not let this happen. Do not let down the guard, because the laws are still the same. The situation is still the same. The point and shriek and send you to the Duluth model re-education is still the same. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. All it takes is a week, and then you're gone. you're gone. It doesn't matter in the middle of COVID-19 or whatever. It's a dangerous situation and remains dangerous. So anyway, yep. No, I think this channel, and everyone knows my personal situation. I'm looking back to 1985, and I'm seeing what I was like back then, and my God, I see you men, and I know. And it's just the accident of my path brought me here. But I'm okay, and I know that you men can be okay. You can't do what I did. My path is, I think, closed. So, but you know, I was planning on staying there and doing whatever I was going to be doing, and I was having a great time until the day I left, because I knew I wasn't going to engage. I knew I wasn't going to let down my guard. And while there was some luck involved, certainly over the years that I was living that lifestyle, which would have been called a MGTOW monk, because I was doing it for the reasons MGTOW now cite. I knew, based upon what was happening to my family in the late 1970s, when I was just coming into adulthood in the early 1980s, that women were eviscerating men, taking half their resources, and I said, no woman's going to do that to me, and these women are fish bicycling all over the place, and this is hideous, and all sex is rape, and I don't want to have anything to do with this. And it was troublesome, but now I understand that I was not alone in thinking all of those things, and today it's even worse. It's 10 times worse. And now that men think that they've got some sort of advantage because we're in a little bit of a crisis, do not let the guard down. Call out anyone who seems to be suggesting that a man can pick up one of these women and, you know, take the woman from the ghetto, from the feminist ghetto. No. You can take the woman from the feminist ghetto, but you can't take the feminist ghetto out of the woman. They will point and shriek. And they have the police, and the police want something to do. And so it doesn't matter. The plantation is functioning very, very well, thank you. So, yes. So at this point, we're in a bit of rough seas, and that is precisely the time that MGTOW just relax. Stay the course. Stay the course and make sure that young men know. And in fact, the statistics came out again that the marriage rates have hit a new all-time low, and it's going down for the reasons that MGTOW cite. And cohabitation is not rising to meet up with it, because this too is a gateway onto the plantation, 6 months or 1 week or whatever in the hell it is where you live. It doesn't matter. And so men are waking up, and it's rough seas, and maybe some men are losing their ability to remain confident on that rocky ship and think that they can get some short-term advantage. No, you can't. If you want the short-term advantage, I don't know, go to Vegas. I think they're a little bit desperate. And at this point, if you believe that COVID-19 is going to make you sick, then you got a problem. You got a problem. Nothing I have read has told me that there is any connection between the SARS-2 and the COVID-19. The only people making the connection are the Chinese and Iranians. And then they convinced the victim currency traders in the West that it was real, that this connection was real. And then aimed the weapon and watched the destruction. And they're watching it now, and they're laughing. And they know it's going to hurt them maybe a bit in the short term, but in the long term, the power relationship has changed fundamentally. Yeah. There we are. The marriage storm. They should call it that, shouldn't they? It's a storm in the West. You know, 150 years ago, no, it was a different matter. You know, you wanted the sustainability of the community. This was the way to do it. Now it's not. There's other ways to do it if that's what you want. And okay, every man chooses his own path. my path remains the same. I wanted to experience life. And my God, look at where I am. In fact, I can show you where I am. There, that's where I am, right there. And what I'm thinking about is that we're living in a Type 3 civilization within a Dyson sphere, and things are controlled for some purpose. We have evidence of interventions from Type 3 civilization, type entities, going back 6,000 years. And I'm trying to figure out where they came from. Because if they gave rise to us, then the metaphysical question becomes where they came from and how they came into being to then create this situation that we're in. And living very well. This is a wonderful place. And it's a wonderful place in many places in the world. Almost all have their greatness, even in the middle of a desert. And so, if you were reared up in the desert, then the desert holds a very special place. And if you're reared up, as I was, near the ocean, then next to the ocean holds a special place. And I'm right next to the ocean, and I enjoy being next to the ocean. It doesn't matter where it would be, whether it be California or, I'd had some problem in some of those Midwest states. Although I do like the plains. I've been across the plains and even the Great Lakes. I enjoyed that when I was there. So every place has its charm, and so we're in a wonderful place. So it's not a cage, it's not a prison, it's not a Panopticon in that way. It's a field for experience, and we can have authentic experience here as humans. And I think, again, going back to that Deep Impact movie, and I see the father and the daughter standing by the beach in the wave. There is authentic experience. I don't care whether this was engineered. I don't care what it is. I'm going to act as a man should act in the face of whatever it is. Why would I run? I wouldn't run. I'm not running now. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And yes, I'll have ups and downs and moments of weakness and moments of strength. But I'm going to forge forward. Oh yes, there was Eggy-Noggy. There was like a movie. What was it? Virus or something. The South Koreans made a movie. This is predictive programming or what? And so, yeah. But ultimately, there's only so many experiences we can have in the world, and somebody's going to write about it. And this is what I think about artists, whether they're novelists or musicians or movie makers or sculptors or poets or whatever it is, that they can tie into a language that they don't really know how to speak, but just momentarily, a colorblind person can pick out the color of things and get it right. But how do they know? They just have a feeling or something. And so there's a connection that people can make and see into the future and perceive things. Some of it's reason and some of it is imagination, but some of it's locking into a groove. That how can you lock into that groove? And so maybe whoever wrote that movie knew something, and maybe what was it that author who coined the Wuhan flu, Dean Koontz. I read a book by him and I was stunned by it. I thought it was great. It was a metaphysical book. I think it was called The Talking. And I was stunned by it. I learned things from that book. And but he wrote another book, in which he had a flu named one thing, and then he changed it in 1985 to Wuhan flu. I don't know why he changed it in the book, but this was something to do. This is a strange thing to do. And now, what do we get? 35 years later, we get the Wuhan flu. So anyway, artists can look into the future somehow. They can speak a language that they shouldn't be able to speak, and maybe tell us something about our future. We got a couple new people in the chat here. Welcome, Silent Sage. Welcome back. Been a long time. Been a long time since rock and roll. And Portsmouth Kev. How are things in Portsmouth? The mouth of the river to the port. Maybe. Anyway, we're in a dark and dangerous time, and stormy seas are going to test men. And again, this test is a test of remaining focused on the path, not being lured back onto the plantation, not thinking that there's no hope at all. No, there's hope. There's hope. There's hope that you don't run away when that wave is crashing down and there's nowhere to run. Why would you run? Just stand there and enjoy the last moments. But we're nowhere near there. We're nowhere near there. Something big may be happening. Or something big may be being engineered and will happen. We are not out of the woods with this, even though the COVID-19 so-called illness and the deaths are no longer recorded as COVID-19. Because people are just saying, he just died of diabetes, And so what we're having is, I think, a multiplication of strangeness, Portsmouth, Kev. Things are stranging up. And, we're having protests, we're having demonstrations. Maybe they're spontaneous, maybe they're not. And the violence is increasing. The government is doubling down because that's what they do. It's a system. The people within the system don't know what's going on. There's a weapon being aimed at the West, and the weapon is of people in the West. Hold on. What, you see it, Warrior? I don't see it. What link? I don't see a link. Let me check here. I'm on live chat. I should be seeing what? Oh yeah, no, I see that link. I see that link. Yeah, sorry, Aggie. I see that link there. Okay then. Good. Yes. Well, I don't know about the resistance, Portsmouth Kev. If there's no value in that resistance, MGTOW men should not be following that path. If you find a value in it, go for it. Whatever the resistance is. If you find value in it, go. That's your path. That's the way you're going. But we're looking here, generally for everyone, all men, sanity, freedom, self-preservation. This is first and foremost. And whatever other path you want to take, that's your business. And, yeah, hey, Nagi, who knows what's going to happen? Again, people seem to be getting diagnosed with the test. I don't know whether it's a false positive, whether it's a false negative. The tests have not themselves been tested. And what we're getting from both the military and the administration, and probably later on by one or both houses of the Congress, is that this was a engineered virus. I went through the documents. I became convinced. I was 80% convinced that it was an engineered virus. There's the bat soup thing is bat crazy. And what we do have is a long track record of manufacturing viral chimeras, engineered viruses, and engineered bacteria and all other manner of small life forms in these BSL-4 labs. And there's 50 some of them around the world. The Wuhan one is relatively new, and they have published papers about their viral engineering exploits. And I'm thinking that one of those scientists, maybe at Wuhan, quite possibly at Wuhan, but maybe somewhere else, thought that they could climb their own personal Mount Everest and engineer a virus that gets into everyone. And like a computer virus just gets into every computer. It doesn't do anything. And so what we're seeing is not a pandemic of sickness, but a pandemic of, okay, you're testing positive for it, but it's not doing anything. There's no symptoms of this thing. If you put it through Koch's postulates, just on the face, you don't get a positive here. You get every symptom under the sun with this. And it's normally the symptoms of the previous pre-existing condition. And so there's no sickness being caused and people are testing positive because some idiot somewhere decided to make a virus that will get into everyone, very transmissible, and doesn't make people sick. Why? Why not? Hey, I did it. I did it. And I think the Chinese at the very beginning saw this thing spreading. They were testing people. It's there. Somebody maybe said it slipped out of this lab, or maybe this guy, let it out on purpose. Apparently there's some woman whose name disappeared from the Wuhan list of scientists. Maybe it's her, but it's not that difficult to engineer these viruses. The first time it was damn near impossible, and the second time it was getting pretty easy. And by the 1,000th time, you're doing it in your fucking sleep. And this is just the way technology and new information works. The first one is extremely expensive, and the second one's almost free. This is the way it works. And so what we have is the Chinese panicked, I believe. They panicked. They thought that it was making people ill, but these were just old people dying anyway. They were just testing positive. And then they realized it and said, lockdown for 2 weeks, we'll just shut it off, and then maybe it'll be over here. And then the Iranians said, well, let's aim it at America. So the Iranians said, oh, look, all these people are dying. It's coming to America next. And China just shut up and let it happen. And now Americans are blowing up their economy or destroying their community on the word of the Chinese and Iranians. No Koch's postulates, no cause and effect, no modern science, no modern medical science, just stupidity. Welcome to idiocracy. And all because the snowflakes want a virtue signal. Yeah. Oh, yes, we're doing good. We're doing good. We have to protect the children. Well, the children aren't dying. My God, they have to struggle. They have to struggle. In 3 months, they're trying to struggle to find 20 kids who have died. Well, 20 kids die all the time. I'm sorry. Around the world. It's a tragedy that life is cut so short, but the kids will die. And now they just want to make it seem like it's... No, it's not. The people who are dying are old, and that's it. Anyway, I think it's time for a little musical interlude. Maybe we'll look at what's happening in New York, and maybe there'll be some battle in New York because the mayor of New York wants to take on the Jews. And maybe this is a mistake. So we'll have a little musical interlude now, and we'll do it here. No, not that one. Here we go.
They say since me to 20 years older for trying to change the system from within. Welcome First we take Manhattan, and then we take
Well, there was Tom Lockman doing a version of that Canadian guy, Leonard Cohen, the famous Canadian poet. He's a poet, and I don't know what the hell he was talking about, but right now it seems to be right on point, and has been for some time. We're in a battle for sanity, a battle for freedom, a battle for self-preservation. And this battle is coming down to maybe what we're going to see in New York, because that seems to be the epicenter of the stupidity. And being supported by the European epicenter, which is Berlin, the German government under the communist leadership of Angela Merkel. Here we have an absolute striving for total globalist control via an anti-scientific, anti-human agenda. And, what else are you going to do but fight something like this? And so you fight it with whatever tools you have and are willing to expose yourself. And this is a monstrous Leviathan. This is a system that's gone completely out of control. You can throw yourself at the Leviathan, but that just makes it stronger. And that's the funny thing, because it's a system. There's another cop to take the cop's place. There's another soldier to take that soldier's place. And, maybe the soldier should wake up and say that I'm not gonna do some things. And but until that happens, the Leviathan is running amok. But now it seems to be destroying itself. At some point, it's destroying itself, and will break down. What we see is the movement towards idiocracy. And if you haven't seen that movie, go out and watch it. The Idiocracy movie is telling, because we see it now. We see it. Yeah. Ah, come on, MGTOW Smurf. We want you to use the friggin' hammer. Bring down that hammer. Yeah. Although not with any of the regulars. Holy shit, who was doing that? Anyway, yeah, don't do that. And no, you want to be careful. But as I say, people are not jumping in here and causing trouble. If I don't mind a discussion. You want to come in with a discussion? Jump in. In fact, I have not put up the link for the Discord. If I can get it here. Oh, there we go. I can put it in. Maybe I can put it in. I'm not wearing headphones at the moment, but I can put them on. And there we go. No, that's not it. There we go. The right page. There's an intro. If invite to the Discord server. If you want to jump in, just tell me that you're in there, and I'll jump in, and we can have a discussion. And I think in this particular broadcast, it should be dedicated to two men, Aggie Nagi and Stone Reaper. Stone Reaper, I think, has the sentiment, the right statement that right now is get what you can get, good men. And the future. I can't predict the future. I'm trying to predict the future, even just into the future, a week or 2 or 3 weeks. I've never seen such confusion. And no one I know can predict anywhere into the future at all. And if they do, well, it's the risk of any prediction is massively high. So what you want to do is take that as given that you want to prep, double down and prep. Yeah, have some fun. Make sure you take some time to smell the roses and enjoy life, and take some time to impress upon good men that they should take heed of the chaos of the current situation, and know that it is times like this that can spin out of control. It can just spin out of control. It has in the past. You think you're under control, but now we see we're not. The West was not under control. There was more stable times, I'll give you that. But right now, it's completely unstable. I look everywhere, and I see instability. And the only thing I see are old people cowering in their homes, and the snowflake victims saying, yeah, that's the right thing to do. Stay at home, get the free money, try to create hyperinflation, and don't worry about the future at all. This is insanity, and it's unsustainable. And all for an illness that's not been shown to be an illness caused by this microorganism. So, when you abandon modern science, you arrive at idiocracy. And you can look this up. There we go. It's Koch's postulates. This is the foundation of modern medical science as regards microorganisms causing illnesses. And this has given us great power, very quickly. It's boom, this causes that. Oh, this causes that. Oh, this causes that. Well, how do we kill it? Well, boom, 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 boom. Done, 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 done. And now we're living so much longer, and illnesses are going down, based upon all these microorganisms until recently. Anyway, we have. So I'm thinking that part of the destruction of modern medical science was due to the retrovirus, which is known as HIV. It was renamed from its original name just to, follow the confusion process that people have when they want to pull the wool over people's eyes. Is first thing to do is confuse the issue, rename it, so that people don't really know what's being talked about. You can't go research it back in the past and all this sort of stuff, And then it's one of 200 retroviruses. Most of them just cause T cells to go down, and then they come back up, and they don't cause any illness at all. The 200, they don't. None. Zero. And if you can find a retrovirus that causes an illness, please let me know. And so Koch's postulates were not able to be demonstrated with HIV either. So we have now a precedent, a medical precedent, that no longer do we have to, connect a microorganism to an illness. And the last paper I read, which was 2017 now, 2017 paper said no, they couldn't find any connection. So Koch's postulates have failed. And so here we have emotivism. And, maybe this was due to the fact that the weepy heart, the do-gooders, they didn't want to, point fingers at the heavy intravenous drug users because it's, nasty. And then there were male promiscuous homosexuals who were getting it. And it's not homosexuals and it's not female homosexuals, but it was male promiscuous homosexuals because they inject drugs, for a number of purposes, some of which I don't want to go into, but you can look it up. But they also were destroying their immune system by injecting drugs on a daily basis, heavy drugs, lots of drugs on a daily basis. And so these two groups were seen as marginalized and weakened. So you couldn't just say, don't do these lifestyles, because these lifestyles lead to a destruction of your immune system. And I think that the pharmaceutical company realized that this is a bad image, that if you're, consuming large amounts of foreign and artificial chemicals that eventually you'll destroy your immune system. They didn't want that out there, so they wanted to pin it on some microvirus or microorganism of some sort. This came along, they jumped on, they started pumping it up, they started, influencing the American Medical Association, and now we have a system that is anti-modern science, anti-Koch's postulates. And so the precedent was set, and now we're into a situation where the Iranians and the Chinese can just aim this idea, and the idea will then trigger the snowflakes and the victimhood people. Modern science is gone. And this is a dangerous time. So, yeah, it's my life. And one line says, all the good things have been taken. Yes. Well, it's just time to make more good things, because I believe that, if you're a man, you can make the good things that you want. And we can make the good things even if, we're in some type of, type 3 civilization, being firm for reasons we don't understand. Even if it's that, you can still walk tall. Know that you're in a period of chaos that's been engineered by whoever for whatever purposes. And you better watch out, because the Panopticon, the power mongers, the psychopaths, all of these people, they want something. And they're going to get it. And so we want to ensure that men do not let their guard down. That men recognize that this is a very dangerous time. It could spin out of control in any number of directions. And in any number of countries, and it could blow over. There's blowback, there's spillover, and I hope to be on next week to tell you the truth. I don't know what's going to happen. Once the power starts going out, and nobody cares to fix it because nobody wants to work in proximity to anyone else, I don't know. And so everyone's adopting this position that I don't want to die of COVID-19. Well, what a bunch of fucking cowards, because no one's died of it. And they've been convinced that they have. So this is a time for men to join together and convince other men that they should just take control of their own life. Yeah. Oh, Mike, that's good. I'm looking at this. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, strike them down. Give in to your anger. I love it. Yeah. Shoot first, ask questions later. There's some of that too. I do that occasionally. Yeah. I don't think I like that comment. Click 30, time out. No, we need the good old days of music, don't we, Mike? I'm looking, at, I got Spotify now, so it makes it sort of easy. It's not complete, but yeah. No, that's it. Somebody showed a picture of, men in the past and men today. I can't believe what's going on. Where I am, it's looking normal. The men are normal. The young men are normal. It's all normal where I am. And so, yeah. Yeah, what's that Carpenter song? Hum along to a song on the radio. She had such a magical voice, and women don't have many talents that are theirs, but I think singing is one of them. And I can name more great women singers than I can men. But men, men write the songs for the most part. I can't really name any great women songwriters, right? Although some of them have hands here and there. Writing words is another thing women can do, like authors is stuff. But when Karen Carpenter sings, it's a beautiful thing. And if only they would leverage that to bring beauty into the world. Instead, they want, red hair and blue underarms and tattoos and piercings and bitchiness, entitled bitchiness. My God, how do you deal with this? And then they demand to have jobs in human resources departments. How do you deal with this? This is not pleasant. And all the good things have been taken. Well, That's one good thing that's been taken, but I got to say, you can make your own good things. I think here in MGTOW, there's lots of places to go that are good things, good places, and good information. And I think the main thing is that they can't close us down. They can't close us down. That, if you're seeking sanity, if you're seeking camaraderie in facing the insanity that you see, and hopefully getting some analytic frameworks to put on the insanity, then this is a main thing of coming together. And holy shit. Yeah, my God, that's good. Yeah, it's a shame, but yeah. Oh, man. I'll use that one. Oh, God. Yeah, that is pretty sick. But this is in the case at least of Karen Carpenter, it was somehow in her mind, and I don't know why. The woman had a great life. Why in the fuck would she do that? Be worried about it? Why in the hell would you be worried about what anyone thinks? You got that much money, you got that much fame. Fucking leave me alone. And your brother, I don't know, was he a jerk? He was a great arranger. One's got to say. He took mediocre and made it goddamn great. Wow. All in a way that says, all in a way that was going against the grain of the time. At the same time Zeppelin was happening, he was putting hits up there that are still listened to today. Lovely arrangements, beautiful singing. Where in the hell did this come from? Yeah. Only Yesterday by Karen Carpenter, all the Carpenters, singing about old songs on the radio. Yeah, that's it. Now we get it, songs on the Spotify, songs on the YouTube, and whatever other service you use. But, yeah. No, well, that's it, Are you going to go down? The plantation awaits. It's a sickness if you get on that plantation. Yoke me up. Where's Cypher? Yoke me up. Put me back in, make me forget. No, we can't forget. And who would want to? We're in exciting times, and so we should live fully in these exciting times. We should live fully. And that doesn't mean running around like a chicken with your head cut off. No. It means, okay, you enjoy when you can enjoy, and you just take notice of things, and you look at the wondrousness of living itself. Just to ask the question of who or how is it that I am here? We are those creatures that have an issue with our very being. Dogs don't have this issue, and trees don't have this issue. But humans have this issue of what is being? What does it mean to be? Leibniz put the question, why is there something rather than nothing? And, this is the same question put slightly differently. And so what is it to be? And this, I find enjoyment in this question. I'm not too worried that I maybe don't have the answer. And, if I say I do have the answer, I don't wish to sound arrogant. A lot of people have postulated this, and I've read a lot of them, and some of them are marvelous. I love Hegel. I thought he was the greatest of the Western metaphysicians, starting with Plato and ending with Hegel. And then Nietzsche came down and put the nails in the coffin. God is dead. there you go. So much for the monadism of Plotinus. Halfway through, I love Plotinus as well. So if there is an explanation for the being of our situation here, I think this is a good thing to think about once in a while, and to sing a song in the middle of it, and not to regret anything too much. This is a chaotic time, and so make sure that you take time to smell the roses. And go back to the good old days of music, because my God, when did it end? I think I can count the number of good songs since 2000 on both my hands. Maybe 10 songs I found. And, it started to draw down a bit in the late 1990s. And then by 2000, it was like, what in the hell's going on? I think maybe the internet did something to it. And record companies stopped being able to tell a good song from a bad song, and wouldn't give any artist the benefit of the doubt, and to leave them just to do something. You'd never get Rush to produce a Tom Sawyer or Hemispheres or any of that stuff, and that stuff was just so great and different. And I recommend listening to Yes's Gates of Delirium. The lyrics are great, and the music is astoundingly good. It's just hard to believe that they could play it. And apparently they played it live. It was, I heard it once. It wasn't great sound quality, but they played it live. Yeah, the COVIDs. And then we got the term COVIDiot. And I think COVIDiot is anyone who thinks that there's a connection without modern science being required to make a connection. You're a boomer. Are you a Smurf? Are you? Yeah, well, you're just, I don't know, I'm 56. How old are you? I'm a Gen X. I'm at the very oldest of the Gen X. I've led the Gen X lifestyle. And it's the age maybe, but it's the lifestyle that one leads. It's the influences that leads one to lead this or that different pathway. I'd never been trying to climb the corporate ladder. In fact, I've been trying to avoid climbing the corporate ladder. And I've had good success with that, to tell you the truth. People have been angry with me, but okay, I'm not fucking working for you. That's it. I'll work with you, but not for you. So fuck off and leave me alone. And if that's the way it's going to be, that's the way it's going to be. Yeah, you're definitely in that age group. Yeah. Congratulations, MGTOW Smurf. That's basically the average lifespan. So every day now is like bonus. Maybe not quite, but getting pretty near. And stay healthy, stay young at heart. And I think you are. Your comments are great. And, I can't stand what's happening. I see so many of these boomers now, and they're cowering in fear of death. My God, I think this is the problem. I think this cowering in fear of death is the absolute destruction of a civilization. Not that you should go stand in the middle of, heavy traffic on a freeway. No, I'm not saying be crazy, but no, live your life. Live your life and don't fear things that you don't see, right? You see a lion, you fear it, but you don't fear going out because you think a lion's going to escape the zoo, right? This is insanity. This is emotivism. This is not rational. This is not reasonable. If somebody tells you there's 300 lions out in the city, you have to stay inside your house. Oh, well, I want to see one. No, you can't see one. Oh. And so there's just all these lies and misrepresentations, manipulations and misdirection in the media. And hopefully, you see it, you can identify it. If you got a question, talk about it and get it out here. We had a question earlier on about that, the leader of North Korea. Apparently he's come out of seclusion. He made an appearance. He ain't dead. I don't know whether the picture I saw was real or not, but the picture looked of a healthy man, so I don't know. Maybe he's just freaking people out. But, small and pretty insignificant country. What is it? 25 million. It's on a piece of land which doesn't have many resources, and so I don't know what he's got planned, but if he can just continue to keep people guessing about his intentions, and okay, he might have a few rockets, but not really enough to do too much. So that's it. So anyway, could be a double. Yes, it could be, Mike. Never thought about that. Could be a double. It looked the same, but you never know. Man, I got trouble telling Koreans apart. There's no question about that. So, okay. So I hope that answers the question, but I'm not really concerned with North Korea one way or the other. So it's not anything we need to concern ourselves with. They'll take care of themselves. So anyway, I think that it's could spiral out of control like anything else. Whether he's real, whether he's a double, whether his sister takes over, I don't know. But whatever they do, it's not a lion. It's more like a house cat. It can scratch you, you can bleed a bit, but then you'll just destroy it. You'll just take a hammer and destroy it. My God, what an illusion. And this is not this is not anything I think that should be concerning anyone now. There are bigger issues, bigger fish to fry, and more destabilization around the corner. We have, I think, numbers coming up on the screen. These numbers I found, and they're quite telling, some of them. So, that's not a number. That's so yeah. Here are some numbers. Case fatalities for 0 to 19 are at 0. 0 to 19 years old. 0 fatalities. I saw someone they dug up 20 bodies. My God, what a way to put it. Excuse the pun. But they dug up 20 bodies of people under 20 who've died. And they want to claim that these people are dying of COVID-19. Who in the hell knows? It's 20 young people. A tragedy, but anyway, trying to turn on my fan here. Getting a little bit hot. It's working now. Oh yeah, it's staying on. Just had to fix the cable. So yeah, a deep fake. Yeah, watch out for deep fakes. In fact, it may break down all of the information. We may see some weird, strange announcement, and people might believe it because we're in an age of, emotivism. You want to believe it. You don't need to prove it. And it's coming back to bite Joe Biden, right? Here we've got a more credible case than the Kavanaugh situation, right? We got a woman who wants to be believed. We got her mother going up on Larry King. We got 2 people saying they remember her talking about it at the time. We got a lot more than the Kavanaugh case, and yet, he doesn't want to believe women. So, but we're looking at the numbers, and okay, again, I don't know if I want to believe the numbers one way or the other, but no one's given other numbers. All around the world, we got age distribution chart. It's just telling me this is like normal. Old people are dying. young people are not, due to illness, and, this is it. Some kid comes out, born in the world with a defective heart, nobody's going to put that as COVID, right? Nobody's going to do that. And so, but they're trying. Again, they're trying to do this. And they're trying to manipulate the story. But it's just not working. And if you don't see that it's not working, then I don't know what in the hell you see. Young people aren't dying. So why the hell should they be concerned? Well, they shouldn't be. So this is a situation. Yeah. Here we are. So we're into, this new point and shriek, and I don't know what I think about this woman, whether it happened or whether it didn't. She had the time. She should have quit right then. Somebody does something to you that you don't like. They abuse you like that. For God's sakes, this is after Anita Hill, I believe. This incident was after Anita Hill. Obviously, she knew what she could do because Anita Hill went right up. She just goes to Anita Hill and says, blah, blah, blah. Anita Hill says, talk to blah, blah, blah. And then it's done. So it's not like, I grew up the whole time that I grew up. From as early as I can remember, women were reporting this stuff and getting satisfaction in reporting it. So don't try to tell me that there was some conspiracy of silence back then. I'm talking the 1980s, early 1980s, late 1980s, even 1970s. It was coming out. And this was right and proper. Nobody should be abused. And, you can create a hostile environment. And maybe that wasn't good, but that was rare. No good man is going to stand by and let some other man abuse some woman publicly. No, that's not going to happen. Somebody's going to take some steps to keep it, decent. Even in the era of so-called sexual liberation that happened in the late 1960s and 70s, there were boundaries. And so, but no, what we see here is complete hypocrisy. We have a more credible case, and I don't even think it's credible. And, if you don't like what's happening to you while you're working there, get the hell out. This is not a sensible thing. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, no, if it was Trump, it would be everywhere. So we're looking at a double standard. And, I don't want to bring a man down for something that happened 30 years ago, whether he's a Democrat or Republican. He's a man. He's entitled to have evidence, and there's no evidence. There's hearsay, one person, another person, and it's just hearsay. And ultimately, there's better ways to handle it. I would have some trouble with Biden actually doing it. He doesn't seem to have a track record of this, but and why would he need to? He had women coming on to him. As a young man, he was pretty good looking and had a reputation for being a ladies' man, so why would he do this? But, we got the double standard, we got the complete, openness that the Me Too movement is partisan and targeted, and, it's going to come back and bite them. And, the Democrat Party is just failing in every sense. Although I got to say, although there was, a couple of very, very uncomfortable moments in that interview at MSNBC, he handled the questions mostly well, I got to say. But ultimately, he feels like there's some report in his personal papers, and he doesn't want the personal papers to be searched for her name. So obviously, that's smoke, right? Yeah, search for her name and nothing else. Okay, done. Searched. Who? The curator of the fucking information, Yeah, that would be, they've got access to it. Just search for her name. Anything that comes up, release it. Smoking gun. Yeah. So, obviously there's something there. It'll come out later. So he's hidden it. But anyway, the Me Too movement, it happened way back in the late 1970s. I got to tell you that. So I'm just telling you my personal memory of it. Women were speaking up, and cases were going to court, and Anita Hill was there. It's a pivotal moment, a watershed moment. So, anything previous to that, no, maybe you could say something, but anything after, no. Shut the fuck up. So, anyway, MGTOW know this. MGTOW know that men are being wrongly accused or rightly accused in a different era. Some man makes a clumsy pass at a woman in 1989 and suddenly he can't become Premier of Ontario. What? Get the hell out. Shut the fuck up and leave men alone. Oh, I think I got a little buzzing there on that animated GIF. I'll have to do something. Anyway, I think I'm going to end it now. We seem to have run out of momentum here. And I thought the discussion was great in the chat and otherwise, that we're into a bad time, we're into a serious time, there's danger. And we should push forward and make sure that young men know that now is not the time to think the plantation is safe, because it's not. And now is not a time to let down your guard, but rather there's instability, so go out and build up your portfolio. That the victims are on the war path. Oh, I like that. The victims are on the war path. And ultimately, get what you can get, good men. And with that, I'm going to end the stream. And remember, MGTOW plenty in 2020.